everyone. Welcome back to the Fin Addicts Miami Dolphins podcast on the Fin Addicts Network, brought to you by Manscaped. I am your host, the legendary Savag, joined, of course, by my co-host, Brian Burns, and the Drew Welch. But we are also honored to have a very special guest with us, returning to us again. Well, I guess returning to the show, but not to me. I wasn't here the first time. But 2006 Miami Dolphins Ring of Honor inductee, 2021 Pro Football Hall of Fame candidate, and the greatest left tackle in Miami Dolphins history, Richmond Webb. Richmond, how you doing?
Guys, how you doing today?
Wonderful, wonderful.
Richmond, I'm going to lead off with the questions, but before I ask you your first question, especially because I see you have something going on your face, I got to read the poll today, which is a very pertinent thing about this week's matchup. So the poll for today is, what is cooler, a beard or a mustache? As Ryan Fitzpatrick is rocking the beard and Gardner Minshew is rocking the mustache. So we will get back into that and go over the results a little bit later. I feel like since Richmond mainly has a beard, he's already answered that question, but is that true? Do you think the beard's cooler than the mustache?
I got to ride with Fitzpatrick, so it's beard all day long. I mean, if I didn't have one, I'd have to start growing it, or if he didn't have one, I'd have to cut mine off. So I'm rolling with Fitzmagic. That's what I'm doing.
So I'm rocking the Fitzpatrick inspired shirt that I got once I saw him wear it. So, I'm still back in Fitzpatrick, but I gotta side with Minshew. I like the mustache. But back to what
you still Raider. You got the right gear on. Everybody can't rock that beard. So no, you good. Don't worry about that.
But unlike what Ryan Fitzpatrick said, this is not patchy here. This can grow in.
Oh, he got full grown. Yeah, he's been working on that one for a minute.
All right, Richmond, back to getting a little serious. We had you on a couple months ago. We did a full interview just a couple months ago. So mainly tonight we're just gonna look at the matchup of the Dolphins and the Jaguars and get your expert opinion on that. But I do want to ask you one personal question. You are a candidate for the 2021 Pro Football Hall of Fame. I know I just voted for it the other day. It was just announced the other day. Can you tell us what that means to you and what that process looks like for you?
Been through the process before. Been on the list. It's definitely an honor. And, hopefully this year I can make it to at least the 25. I've always been on the list, but hadn't been able to make that initial cut. I think if I can do that this year, that would definitely be showing progress. It's a tough field of candidates, but I would like to at least try to, start seeing some progress. So hopefully if I can move up in that top 25, that would be definitely be a blessing.
I mean, I just got to say, Sabak's supposed to ask the next question, but I got to say it's robbery that it hasn't been a finalist yet this far. I mean, you don't see, if I'm not mistaken, four-time All-Pro between first and second team, all 90s decade team. Was it 5 Pro Bowls or 7 Pro Bowls? I mean, you don't see those numbers ever and not have Hall of Fame attached to it. So hopefully Canton gets this right, and we can stop asking you this question when you join us on the show.
Well,
will you join us on the show when you get the gold jacket?
On the show, you already know that. That joke, all that. So that's not a problem. I think the good thing is when you have the resume that's worthy of it. Sometimes it just takes a little bit. So that's if I didn't have the resume or a legitimate shot, that'd be different. But I think I've done enough to definitely be considered. And like I said, it's just a tough field, and they can't get everybody in at once. But I do think it will happen.
Agreed. Of course, Dolphin fans out there, Richmond is joined on the ballot by other former Dolphins, Troy Vincent, Matt Turk, Keith Jackson, and Zach Thomas, who I made a video about complaining about why he wasn't in the hall too. So get on there. Please go vote for him. www.profootballhof.com/fan vote. So Richmond, what has been your thoughts on this revamped Miami Dolphins offensive line? Specifically, how do you think these rookies are working out?
I think they're considering all the circumstances, no quarterback schools, no trainings during the off season, everything being shut down because of COVID, no preseason games to get reps to, try to get everything fine-tuned. I thought they've played exceptional well. I think a lot of fans, we're making the right picks and everything, but it's still a process. So we kind of cleaned house last year, and then now we're building it back up. And the way we finished last season, and Fitzpatrick has been playing pretty good. The line has been playing much better than it was last year, but they still have a ton of upside. So once everybody gets hitting on all cylinders, and we still have Mr. Tua that hadn't entered the game yet, but he gets to learn up under a guy like Fitzpatrick. And I know what's going to happen. I'm just patient enough to take the steps. But even the last two games that we lost, we still had a chance to win both games. So that's definitely promising to me, because there were games last year that we just kind of got blew out and this and that. So progress is definitely being made. You just got to be realistic and evaluate, say, okay, are we headed in the right direction? I definitely think we are.
So to follow up on that, you and Keith got drafted the same year. So that's two spots kind of mixing up. In this case, we're looking at 4 spots that are changed from the year before. How long does it really take for an O-line to start getting that feel and meld of, okay, he's got this, he doesn't need some help, I need to do this, that, or the other, and really look out for each other?
I think it varies with players. The good thing with me and Keith, we went through mini camp. John Sandusky worked with us within a month. And then, like you said, it was just 2 of us, where it's 4 new positions. So that's even a lot more challenging right there. But the quicker guys can communicate and get on the same page and kind of know what each other's thinking and getting those reps and getting used to the speed of the game, the quicker everything will kind of settle down and gel and this and that. And I don't think they're far off. I think they've done a good job overall as a group.
I have a quick follow-up on that, Richmond. How long do you think it took for you and Keith? I mean, you obviously we talked about it before. You guys got to play a lot in preseason together. And but how long did it really feel like you guys knew each other, had that chemistry going back and forth with playing next to each other that first year?
I think we had the chemistry early on. I think the thing was that, I can look back to my first couple of games versus toward the end of my rookie season and how much progress I made. And it's a growing process. You don't just go from here to there, but it's a progress. Some guys, can expedite the process a little bit. And I think the good thing is all of them are thrown in the fire, and the more they keep doing it week in, week out. And if you can kind of get on a string of, putting together a couple of wins, everybody confidence and everything just kind of just escalates and this and that. And then that's when you start to take off. And the same thing kind of happened last year. We didn't have the quality of players we had this year, but we were in games, and then we start winning some of those close games, and you could see the confidence level. They expected to go out and win. They wasn't just saying, well, we don't have this guy, this guy, this guy. We don't have a chance. The mentality was there, and that was definitely something you can build on. And once we get that first W and stuff like that, I think we're gonna be off to the races. But it's definitely a process, and I think not only the Dolphins, but COVID did affect sports this year. I mean, it just did. And I think part of it is a lot of the injuries you just saw this past weekend with different teams losing a lot of their premier guys. So that's one thing fortunate we hadn't had to deal with so far.
Which I guess does kind of carry us into our next questions. The worst Dolphin team that you were ever on finished 8-8. So you might have a limited experience with this answer in this next one, but how do they notch that first win after starting 0-2 like this?
Well, the first thing is it's nothing you can do to change the 2 games you lost. I think the thing that I will be looking at is we were really competitive. I think when we drove down and we went forward on 4th down and then come away with any points, well, if you get a field goal or a touchdown, maybe you already get it. But what I do like about it is it's some aggressiveness there as far as the play calling and this and that. And it's showing the players that the coaches believe in you early on and say, hey, we believe we can punch this ball in and get points and this and that. And that carries over. So, like I said, the thing I've really focused on is, we might get down 7 or 10 points, but we've been able to fight our way back or claw our way back into the game. And we're right there at the end. And a lot of time that's what you want. Instead of losing close games, you start winning some of them. And once you learn that, if you can play within that's when you start to really see the progress take off.
Richmond, you played for Chan Gailey for a couple of years, and when he was the OC in Miami back when it was your last couple of years on the team. I mean, he ran the ball, then he ran the ball, and then I think he ran the ball some more. He might have even ran the ball in the locker room. Are you surprised at all by his lack of commitment to the running game so far this season?
I'm not. I think I think he's just doing what's best, and it depends on the scenario, depends on the downs and distance. But I think he tries, from what I remember, I think he tries to call it probably a little bit more run and pass, but sometimes you got to throw the ball a little bit more. It all just depends on the defensive front or the secondary. You got to evaluate and say, okay, if they're going to take this away from us, they got to give us something. And just being able to make those adjustments and come out and say, okay, yeah, we say we're going to do this, and I plan to do it more, but this is going to be more effective, so we're going to go this way.
So speaking of adjustments, that actually leads us right into this. So Byron Jones went out last week. Noah Igbehogany, the rookie, youngest player in the league, got put on Stephon Diggs, and obviously Stephon got several yards on him and a TD, and just overall he had a really rough performance as a rookie. Were you kind of surprised there weren't any adjustments made there with him being a starting rookie?
Sometimes you make the adjustments and sometimes you don't. I know he's young. I believe he came out of Auburn, right? Yeah, the defensive back. So a lot of times you don't want to do that too quick because he's going to have to go up against some more top-notch receivers. And a lot of times it's growing pains you got to go through. If it was a situation to where he was just getting torched and, the game was getting out of reach because he was continually getting beat this and that. He got beat on some plays, but like you say, look at the caliber of player he plays against. You got to play against those guys to see where your measuring stick is and what you got to do to improve on. Go study the film because this week Jacksonville's probably got some receivers that can do the same thing to you. So it makes that dog come out in you. And if he's got some dog in him, he's not going to keep letting that happen. So you can't just all of a sudden just coddle him and say, okay, we know you're struggling this and that. It's like, no, you're going to be all right. And I think he will be all right, but it was good for him to go through this. And the next time he plays against Diggs, I'm sure he'll really study the film. Diggs is a great route runner, this and that, and he's one of the top receivers in the league. So I think next time they meet around, he's going to be looking forward to it. At least I would, yeah.
I agree, and the good news is he will get that opportunity, won't he?
Ain't no question. It's coming. He'll get that. You're right about that.
So which takes us into this week. What does Miami have to do, in your mind, to win this game against Jacksonville?
First thing is time of possession. If you can control that, if you can not turn the ball over, and just play good defense, I think we got a chance to win the football game. Those are the things that kind of stick out right there.
I gotta add a couple questions. I got a freelance here that I didn't have written down for you, Richmond. So we've gotten to see two of the three rookies that Miami took early in the draft on the O-line. We've gotten to see Austin Jackson playing your old position at left tackle and Solomon Kinley at right guard. We haven't seen Hunt yet, but of the two, has one really impressed you? Has one stood out more to you that you that you relate to more, or you like more, or see a dog in more?
I like them all. I think most offenses are kind of designed where you run more to your right than to your left, and you're blind. Most quarterbacks are right-handed, so you blindside guys or guys like Jackson, really athletic, great feet, this and that. So I've been basically watching them as a whole group and not as just an individual, just to see. And I really like watching the end zone copy, or if they do the replay, I really like the end zone copy because I can see how everything develops. And I don't need to see what the receivers are doing and stuff like that because we never really watched that. But in between the tackle boxes, but so far the young guys have been doing pretty good, and I know they're going to continue to get better. So I've been impressed with them.
Yeah, it's already vastly better than it was last year. And, I mean, they didn't get a lot of time to play together. Your wife popped in, and I'm sure she's got dinner ready for it. Yeah, so I don't want to keep you too long, but we usually close with two predictions, but I'm going to add this to 3 predictions for you tonight. The first is, what is your game prediction for this week against Jacksonville? How do you see this ending? Do you have a score, a winner?
I think it's definitely a winnable game. I hadn't come up with a score. It's a short week. Sometimes that's a good thing. But I'm looking forward to get that first win. I thought we had it Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Like I say, both games, even though we lost, I don't feel bad because we've been right there. But I think we actually get over the hump. It might be a game we win by like maybe 3 points or whatever. But as long as we get that first W, I think that's the most important. I see you got a score up there. That would be lovely if it happened. I have no complaints with that. So, but I think Miami does get the first win this week.
Nice. And we also like to close out with, how do you see the rest of the season going? How do you see him finishing out with the record?
I think I said before the season, I think we can win 9 or 10 games. And that's always as long as everybody stays healthy. And you can predict that, but if you go through a situation like the 49ers have kind of experienced, the Giants lost Saquon Barkley. Long as you can keep your core guys and not go through a ton of major injuries at key positions, I could see us winning 9 or 10 games this year pretty easy. Yeah. All
right, and then the extra prediction. When do you see Tua making the first appearance?
Ooh. At first when we drafted him, I wasn't really expecting him to play this year, but saying that, his progress as far as healing I think he's ready to go. I mean, I wasn't thinking he was going to be ready to go when the season started, this and that, but he's ready to go. So I think the coaches are bringing him along slowly. When I watched this past game, I saw him and Fitzpatrick talking on the sideline, sharing things. And when he does take it over, I could see maybe the second half of the season. I think it's going to happen much quicker than what I originally expected. I could be wrong, but I think it's just he did such a good job. I guess the doctors did as far as putting the hip back in place and everything healing up, that he's definitely ahead of schedule. So maybe the line gets a little bit more experience, and somewhere between week 6 and 8, maybe they throw him in there. I don't know, but I could see that.
Richmond, thank you so much for your time. I'm going to give you the result of the poll because I don't want you to have to worry and wonder about what people think out there. And you were right. Unfortunately for me, and unfortunately for these two ding-dongs with goatees, beard wins 84% of the time, with mustache getting 15% of the time.
See, you win because you on our team. You see what I'm saying? It ain't about the beard. It's about what's on your hat. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. That's right, sir. Thank you.
But Richmond, thank you again. And please, everybody, go to profootballhof.com/fan vote. Get this man in the Hall of Fame. For the love of God, it's taken too long. Get him in there, please. Richmond, again, thank you for your time. And as we always have to do to sign off one of our guests, fins up, baby.
Fins up.
Fins up. Yo, you guys, thanks for having me on the show again.
Yes. Woo! What an honor that was to talk to Richmond Webb, such a legend, the Miami Dolphins. Hopefully soon to be Hall of Famer. This is all on you guys now. Get on there. profootballhof.com/fan vote. Get on there. Vote him in, as well as the rest of our potential Dolphin inductees.
Zach Thomas.
I was trying not to hit that one again. So on the nose. So either way, now we got to take a quick moment to pay the bills. Do we got something queued up?
Right at this moment, there are men everywhere, doing manly things.
That really does amuse the hell out of you, doesn't it?
Every time. I don't know if we actually have permission from, what is that, Spider-Man 2?
Yeah.
No, that's from?
Three.
Spider-Man 3. I don't know if we have Tobey Maguire's permission, but I think he'd be inspired by it. We got to ask Drew. So Savak and I have both weighed in on, we've all gotten our Manscaped packages. I'm sold. Like, if they were paying the bills or not, I'm sold. I love Manscaped. It's amazing. I know Savak is big on board of it too. Drew, where are you at? Have you taken it out of the box yet? Have you used it? What's going on?
I have used it. I think it works great. It helps the thunder down under. It's a great product. I mean, you really don't have to pay attention. You know, usually you're a little nervous going into that, but you know, compared to anything I've used before, you know, obviously, if you can use it wherever you want for you, but don't use your buddy's ball trimmer. That's the rule.
But with yourself, feel free to get very cavalier if you feel so inclined. Get up in there, way up in there. The crevices that you wouldn't be able to reach with other tools, the Lawnmower 3.0 can do that for you. And with the LED light on there, you'll see where you're going or not. I mean, shit, go no looks. Just
more importantly, Drew and Savak, and then I'll weigh in. What does your wife think of Manscaped.com and their little gift package they sent you guys?
Full disclosure, my wife used it too. She used the trimmer. She got in there. She used it.
That's not what I was talking about, Savak.
That's why I said full disclosure. But she's a big fan. I mean, you know, if we want to get very, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Divorce?
I don't know.
Don't go rated X. maybe PG-13 plus here.
She's a big fan, very supportive, loves Manscaped.
Drew, any comments from your wife since you've gotten that?
I'll leave it with some things we don't talk about.
But my wife
positive.
My wife has made a comment that, and this may sound too far, but it's not what you're thinking. But she just my wife did say that she loves the smell of the ball deodorant, that it smells very good.
Make of that what you will.
Make of that what you
Go where you go there.
All right, let's get this back on track, shall we? There's an injury report, I believe, guys. We should probably talk about.
Hopefully not caused by somebody's ball trimmer.
So here it is.
That would be a rough one.
Yes, it would.
Since it's a Thursday night game, you get a Wednesday night final injury report. So as you are seeing, this is what we're dealing with here. I first just don't like the looks at it because Miami's is longer than the other team. Actually, no, the final game status isn't that bad. But we only have two guys with game time statuses, and it's Clayton Fedulum, doubtful, still dealing with that pectoral injury. And as we pretty much knew, Byron Jones will be sitting out another week. Although the reports this week, I expected it to be a little bit worse than it was, but Flores said on the Monday press conference that it's going to be day-to-day. So this isn't going to be like an 8 to 10 week injury as some groin injuries can be. So that's promising. Everybody else got removed from the injury report. So that's fantastic news. Elandon Roberts, he finally gets to come back from the concussion he missed last week. I was a little scared about Shaq Lawson's hip, but he practiced in full today and has no game time designation. So that is all good news outside of, our most expensive free agent signing and Byron Jones having to miss a week. On the other side, the Jaguars actually put kicker Josh Lambo on injured reserve and promoted a rookie kicker from the practice squad. So Josh Lambo's out, so the kicking game could be a deciding factor this week. DJ Chark, probably their best wide receiver, is questionable with a chest injury, and their center Brandon Linder is out for this game with a knee.
Very interesting. And I think that DJ Chark's actually also it's a chest and / back injury, but he was a limited participant, and it does look like he probably will be available. But of course, have to wait and see, which I guess takes us into our keys, doesn't it?
Well, you always got to think on the Thursday games when guys like that appear, like the doubtful and the questionables. They're less likely to go. I think a little bit less likely to go on Thursday, to be a little bit more careful. So I wouldn't 100% say DJ Chark will definitely be out there just because it's such a quick turnaround. But I mean, this is a gut check game for the Dolphins. So it's definitely an important one if he plays or he doesn't. What do you guys think about how important this game is to Miami?
It is very, very important. This is a key moment in this season, given how the team's been performing overall, both offensively and defensively, how Ryan Fitzpatrick has been performing. And this game kind of has the makeup to possibly become a bit of a shootout based on the fact that Jacksonville has kind of done a complete facelift on themselves, and they are more of an offensive team now than they previously were. And that's kind of what they're set up to do. Even with or without DJ Chark, they will still be throwing this ball all around the place. So we got to be able to go toe-to-toe with them, especially if the defense does not step up. Will Ryan Fitzpatrick step up is my question.
Well, I think one of the things you got to look at is, regardless of what we're looking at, if you go 0-3 to start the season, that's hard to come back from. I mean, you've got to win 3 games straight just to get to 500. I mean, that's not an easy task for pretty much anybody. So to start out off in that kind of hole after losing 2 close games, you've got to come out and win one. The Jaguars are also there's no such thing as an easy win, but they're not in the division. So with that said, there are unknowns on both sides, but you've got a head coach that sat there for, I believe he's on his 4th year in Doug Marrone, versus a new OC, new DC. Throw some wrinkles out there they're not used to seeing from the Dolphins and actually go get that W.
So there's an interesting stat. I think this game is paramount importance to the Miami Dolphins. You cannot start the season 0-3. But there is an interesting stat, and I'm 98% sure that it's true, that the last 2 times we made the playoffs, we started both of those seasons 0-2. You remember in 2008, we started 0-2. We went to New England with the Wildcat, and we made history, as we talked about with Ricky Williams earlier this week. And then in 2016, we started off really bad. I think we dropped our first 2, came back and barely beat a woeful Cleveland team, dropped another game to Tennessee, and then went on a, 8-game winning streak to end the year. But this is gut check. This is going to tell us so much about, this defense has just gotten blown out these past 2 weeks. And it wasn't like it's just the run defense or it's just the pass defense. 2 weeks ago in New England, they had the ball stuffed down their throat, over 200 yards rushing. And if you noticed, that New England rushing offense wasn't that impressive on Monday night against Seattle. And then the second week, the secondary gets blown out, gives a career high 417 yards to Josh Allen. So we are going to learn a lot about, I think, these players. And I think even more, we're going to learn about this coaching staff. If they go in here and get blown out by Jacksonville, which is on paper, not as talented as we are, you got to start asking a lot of questions. Hopefully we don't have to ask those questions because some of them are going to be hard. But I believe a lot of that faith that Flores built up with winning 5 games last year, you leave Jacksonville 0-3, and I don't know if, no one thought we were going to the Super Bowl, but if we go 0-3 to start this season, there's going to be a bit of confidence lost. And, because of how the last 2 games went, we are a 3-point dog on the road in Jacksonville. And I think that brings us to key matchups. What do we got, Savak, for key matchups?
What I'm looking at specifically, this is a pass-happy team that we're coming up here to face. It's going to be their wide receivers versus our secondary. Now we are without Byron Jones again, so this secondary's got to step up. They've got to play better than they did against Buffalo, because I know that on paper, at quick glance, you might not think a lot of Jacksonville's roster, but their receiving core, that's where they have their strength at. And this is a well-coached team, and specifically a well-coached offense. So it's also going to be our defense versus their offense. That's their key. That's my key matchup.
This is definitely the matchup I'm looking at. And, I even wrote this out with, Chark Jr., Cole, and Chenault, the rookie Chenault versus Howard, Noah, and Needham. But I got to throw Bobby McCain on that list too, because he cannot look like he did last week. We need to see Bobby McCain make a play this week. He's going to have the opportunity. Those wide receivers can definitely stretch the field. So we'll need some play from that free safety. We'll also, they got Chris Thompson at running back who catches the ball really well. So we need Jerome Baker all over him. We can't do what happened last year. There's no more excuses. There's not a Stephon Diggs and John Brown on this team. They have good receivers, but they don't have all pro receivers. And, it's gut check time. Xavier Howard makes a lot of money. He cannot get beat like he did last week. And the other part of it, I think that, whenever you're talking about wide receivers and corners, which we didn't put down here, but it's definitely a key factor, is these DNs need to create some pressure, because these guys can't be back there trying to cover these young wide receivers for 5-6 seconds. We need to get some pressure, and these corners need to step up. What are your thoughts, Drew?
I think one of the biggest things with the running game is going to be, can they keep Minshew in the pocket? Because if he starts running around and doing all the things he does and his mid-drifts and his monologues and tossing the ball everywhere, it's going to be a long night, and I'm just not prepared for that. I think overall it's definitely going to be a big deal as far as if they stop the wide receivers. The cornerbacks have to. That's really the biggest thing. Like you said, there's not all pros. These guys are supposed to be able to handle a wide receiver group like this. So that's what we need to see them actually go out and do.
And I don't see this running game or a tight end beating this Dolphin defense. If we're going to lose this game, it's going to be because of Minshew and the wide receivers.
That's exactly right. You got to be – everyone should – we can't afford to overlook this opponent. Like I said a little bit ago, they are very well coached. Their offensive coordinator is a former head coach. You might remember him, Jay Gruden. Before he was a okay head coach, he was actually a really good coordinator. You know, their quarterback's coach, also a former NFL head coach, Ben McAdoo. This team, they are going to be good offensively. They already showed that week one.
I'm sorry to make you laugh there, but I just realized Ben McAdoo's mustache is Gardner Minshew's mustache as offensive coordinator. Those are the two most famous mustaches in the NFL. Too much power for one team to have.
They are on the same offense. That is my point. You see, we cannot afford to overlook this opponent.
Oh, my God. That is the stat of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Please, Manscaped, get over there and get rid of those mustaches.
Because we could use all the help we can get at this point. Oh, that's good.
That brings us, I think, to our next key matchup is they do have still have, this is not the defense that it once was, but they still have Miles Jack at middle linebacker, and they still have two very formidable defensive end in rookie Chason and second year Josh Allen, not the Josh Allen that beat us for 417 yards, but I don't know if you guys watched the preseason game last year we had with Jacksonville, but I think that Josh Allen had about 87 sacks in that preseason game. He was dominant. He was a top 10 pick last year in 2019. So real talent, we're going up against the rookie Jackson and Jesse Davis. I think that's going to keeping those guys off Fitzpatrick. It is definitely going to be a deciding factor.
So we're going to find out what this offensive line's made of. Of course, they've already had a couple challenges, but the Jacksonville, like you said, this isn't the Saxonville team from a few years ago, but it's still a pretty frisky defense. What do you think, Drew? How about this running game? Tell me about it.
Well, I think that's going to be one of the hardest things they're going to have to do is get our running game going in Miami to get through Jacksonville. They haven't given up many yards. I mean, they went up against Henry, who everybody knows how dominant he was last year, and I believe they gave up, was it 100 yards?
No, they only gave up 85 yards to Henry on 25 carries. They gave up 100 team total yards.
Yeah.
Just over 100, but only 85 to Travis Henry.
That's impressive. So, of course, that's going to be paramount to Miami winning this game. Can we establish that run game? Can we finally get these guys going? Can we get Matt Breida some more touches, please? Like I said during the press conference, this man does everything fast, okay? He runs fast. He thinks fast. He talks fast. Can we give him the ball, please? My goodness.
It definitely won't be easy running, though, because not only did they not, give up a lot to Tennessee, who makes their living on the ground, but the week before that, they came out with a victory against Indianapolis, and they held the impressive, Marlon Mack went down in that game, but the rookie Taylor is really good, and they also had Hines, and they only gave up 88 total yards to that team, who has a mean run-blocking offensive line. So, the Dolphins' running game has been anemic the past couple of weeks, so I think trying to get that established is going to be hard, which leads me to, I think, one of our biggest positives coming into this week is one of our biggest positives coming out of last week, Mike Gesicki. He had his first 100-yard game last week, and it's the part on defense that Jacksonville has been very susceptible to. Jonnu Smith went off last week, 4 catches, 84 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The week before that, baby hands Jack Doyle had only 3 catches, but 49 yards and 16 yards per carry. Indy's other tight end had a couple catches. So this is definitely, a matchup I think we can exploit. And Gesicki's just on fire. You got to keep giving it to this kid. What do you guys think about that?
I agree. Go on, Drew. You looked like you're about to say something.
I think the one thing that scares me is they're going to get away from the run, so they're going to be able to put more people on Gesicki. even if they can't get the run game going, they need to run enough to keep the defense honest. And that's something they haven't done yet this year when the run game was working. So it's really kind of scary if they go out there and the run game's not working. Are they going to let it go, turn one-dimensional, and then we all know what happens after that. The INTs start throwing because Fitzpatrick's going to start forcing throws. Mm-hmm. Guys like Gesicki who can really catch those 50-50 balls. The problem is when you put them in a 40-60 balls and 30-70 balls,
That's right. And at this point now, I guess the addendum on Matt Breida is even if we can't get him more touches on the ground, more carries, let's get him involved in the passing game. Let's find creative ways to get him out in space and get him the ball. Just anything. We've got explosiveness in terms of talent on this offense. Can we utilize it? So I guess that's another key matchup right there. Chan Gailey versus their defensive coordinator. Can Chan get a little bit more creative? Can we see that offense that was advertised to us when he was hired? That would be nice. That's what it's going to take to beat this team. That's what we're going to need to see.
I loved what you said about Breida. Tennessee doesn't really throw to the running backs very often. Henry's not known for catching the ball, but Indianapolis definitely had success against them throwing to the running backs, and Hines took a big chunk out of that defense. But the other thing, too, is they have two pretty young corners. We have Parker and Williams. Ford's been coming on. If we can't run the ball, we gotta let Fitzpatrick just light it up. I mean, there's nothing more than I would love to see than this running game finally get established. But if we can't, we have to take advantage of those matchups because we have some Parker on anybody right now in the NFL mismatch. Matt Breida coming out of the backfield is a mismatch to cover. I'd like to see him get involved. What are your thoughts on that, Drew?
Can we get a go route? Just one. Can we buy a go route? Whether Team Grant.
Somebody get a go route around here?
I mean, just something to open up the back end of the defense so they can't all creep up. Anything. I mean, just get a go route. That's all I'm asking for. Just give me a go route this game. Make the defense stay honest. Give me a go route and a couple of runs so the defense has to be all over the field instead of all in this little square.
Thank you, because that was actually something similar to something I said after our first post-game wrap-up, week one, was, my goodness, I didn't say it this way, but seriously, whose leg do you have to hump to stretch the damn field out here? What's going on? We've got Parker, and these guys are great at catching passes down the field, yet that is not where Chan is sending them. So that, I guess, leads us into our final matchup there, the beard versus the mustache. I mean,
we got to share a screen for this one. You got to give me 1 second before we talk about this one. So the beard versus the mustache is definitely the talk of the week. It started with Ryan Fitzpatrick on Tuesday's press availability. He came out with the quote, "The mustaches versus the beard." I think the beard is a cooler look. I think guys that grow mustaches a lot of times have patchy sides for their beards, so they just stick with the mustache. So that kind of pissed off Gardner Minshew. He came back later at that night, and he responded to Fitzpatrick's quote, and he said, "I'll let mine speak for itself. But I'm going to have to respect my elders, especially when they're much, much elder." So the face-off, those two is definitely going on. But I think it definitely goes beyond just the beard and the mustache. These two, there's a good chance, like you said, this is going to turn into a shootout. And, I'll go on record right now. I went on record. I didn't think Fitzpatrick was going to have a good game against that Buffalo defense, but he surprised me. I thought maybe we'd see Tua this Thursday, but if we go 0-3, and Fitzpatrick doesn't beat Minshew in this shootout, I don't know how you keep him out there another week. We'll have 10 days to get Tua ready. Again, I'm rooting for Fitzpatrick. I want Fitzpatrick to go out in a blaze of glory. I want him to bring us to a playoff run, but he's got to go up to Jacksonville, and he's got to prove beards are better than mustaches, even though I rock the mustache.
Can Tua grow a beard in 10 days? You think he can do that?
I don't think he's capable.
That's a good damn question, because that's what I was saying. If Fitz can't prove that the beard is superior, then we might end up seeing a clean-shaven face coming out.
Like no facial hair. I didn't include that in the poll.
I know.
Well, I mean, we're looking at this situation, right? You've got a second-year player in Minshew. You've got the vet that's supposed to be teaching the young buck how to play. Both have teams that have had a lot of turnover, so they're both in similar situations. If Fitzpatrick can't pull it together and lead them to a win in this situation when he should definitely have the advantage, he's not dealing with the Patriots. He's not dealing with the Bills. He's not dealing with these, Bills where they've been building up for several years, the Patriots where they've been a pain in our butt for 20. But in both of those cases, they've got something going for them. The Jags are kind of all over the place. Everybody thought Doug Marrone was gone last year. They swapped OCs. They traded Ramsey. They traded 2 or 3 other – I don't know. They traded like half their players. Kind of what like we did last year. So everybody was expecting the tank from them this year. If you can't go out and beat that after they traded several of their good players, Leonard Fournette, that was the other one.
Mm-hmm.
And they just cut him outright. I mean, if you can't go in and win against that, when are we going to start seeing wins?
See, but I like what you alluded to right there. They are kind of in similar situations, but the main difference is already notched their first win of the season. Week 1, they came out and won a game that most people didn't expect them to win. So how do we respond now? We're 0-2 coming into this game. How do we respond?
Don't forget, I mean, everybody thought they were tanking, but they don't know that, because not only did they win week 1, they took the Tennessee Titans, who went to the AFC Championship game, down to the last second. We both only lost by 3 points last week, but for a team that everyone assumed was tanking, who did just like we did the year prior, the week before the season, trade Ngakoue, cut Fournette, just brand new guys all over the place. And the other big surprising stat here, Gardner Minshew is the 7th rated quarterback in the NFL. They are second, I believe, in the NFL in passing touchdowns with 6. He's only got 2 interceptions. The kid in the stash is lighting it up. And again, we don't have Byron Jones, but we still have a lot of money and a lot of picks invested in that secondary. We should have an advantage there. We gotta shut that mustache down.
One would like to think, and that's kind of the stories that were coming out of there during the offseason, is that Gardner Minshew really took to this offense. This offense kind of, what's the word I'm thinking of? It plays to his strengths. And Jay Gruden's a pretty creative play caller. But like you said, we have a lot of money invested in that secondary. When are we need to start seeing some dividends getting paid?
Another thing to add to this is it's a short week, and these teams normally don't play each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it really shouldn't be that hard to put something together. Hat on a hat, go for a win. I mean, the cream of the crop should rise to the top. And if they don't, you don't only have so much time to game plan. You're only going to be able to put so many wrinkles in this week.
Mm-hmm.
So with that said, you got to expect this team to come up and win. We're supposed to have a better QB. We're supposed to have better wide receivers. We're supposed to have a better O-line. We're supposed to have a better defense. We're supposed to have better secondary. You have to go in and win this game.
And damn it, we are Florida's team. We cannot get beat by our little brothers. Okay.
The London Jaguars. Before we get to our game predictions, I also want to add to you, I'd like to see a wrinkle. We went out and we traded we got Bowden. I don't remember how we got Lynn Bowden Jr., but we got Lynn Bowden Jr. We drafted Malcolm Perry for the wrinkle. We got Jakeem Grant for the wrinkles. I want to see a double reverse. I want to see Lynn Bowden line up in a Wildcat, Malcolm Perry line up in a Wildcat. Let's do something different. What do we have to lose at 0-2? Throw something crazy together, Shane Gailey. You're supposed to be good at that.
Yeah, we've got these players, so we have yet to really see Grant caught like one pass so far this season, and he's the fastest guy. Well, him and Matt Breida. So I mean, come on now, we've got to get these pieces in motion. We've got weapons here. Let's get creative.
Agree.
Do something.
Say, Joe?
Do something, anything other than what we've been doing. Go routes, double revert, just something to put the defense on the heels.
Give me a flea flicker. Give me anything.
Oh, yeah.
The fumble rooski. I don't know, dude. Just put some points on the board.
All right, guys. It brings us to how we close this show. Game predictions. Drew, why don't you start us off?
I am going to go ahead and predict a low-scoring game because Miami finally sticks with the run and is able to pull it off. And I'm going to go Miami wins 28-24.
That's low scoring for you.
That did not add up. Did you have a couple cocktails before you started this? Low scoring
in the NFL.
But over.
Hey, we're on the back end of happy hour, so it's very possible.
He says low scoring, but he also says bet the over in Vegas. That is 43. So it's been a rough day. I mean, he got to meet one of the living legends, Richmond Webb, today. Maybe he's a soul lightheaded.
What way or the other? I'm right.
Savak, where are you at? What are we gonna do?
I love that. Well, I guess if that's low scoring, then I'm low scoring too. And I was gonna call 21 Miami's way. I think it'll stay close. That'll be semi-shootout territory right there. 21-24 Miami's way.
I gotta say I'm really nervous about that. This one, I kind of really thought we were gonna win in New England, and I thought we might have pulled out our home victory. I'm nervous about this, but I'm saying I believe in Flores. I do not think he loses control of that locker room. I think it's gut check time, and I think the locker room loves them. So I think they respond. And as Richmond Webb said, I have it on my board. Low scoring, 24-13. Miami comes out. I can go to. Oh, actually, if we win, I probably won't go to bed till like 2 a.m. I hate Thursday night games. I have to be at work at 7:30 in the morning. Every Thursday night game, the Dolphins are on. I'm up to like 2 a.m. I'll be texting Savak, waking him up. But I say we get out of Jacksonville with a win, with some hope, 24-13. I will have money on it, and with that,
I will note that if we do win, it is obviously because I was there, so everyone can go ahead and give me credit.
That is, look for Savak's Twitter on Thursday night because he will be at the game. There will be and Fin Addicts Network. Don't put it on Savak's Twitter. Put it on the Fin _ Addicts Twitter. Show us those live feeds. Show us what's going on in Jacksonville. Should be definitely entertaining. Have a cocktail for me. Drew obviously already had too many, so no more for him. So with that, we gotta get it out of here with the housekeeping. As I said, follow our Twitter, Fin _ Addicts. We're doing a couple giveaways right now, so you definitely want to make sure you're on our Twitter. One of those giveaways is this: if you follow us on YouTube, which is youtube.com/C/Fin Addicts Network, we are having two giveaways. You take a picture of the screenshot saying that you are subscribed to our network. You DM it to our Twitter, send it to info@Fin Addicts Network, and you'll get entered to win one of two things. This Xavier Howard signed card here, which hopefully after this game and he has 3 interceptions will gain some value. And you'll also be entered to win the hat of your choice. I said initially that you can only get it at Fanatics, but because I like the hat that I'm wearing so much right now, I got it at mitchellandness.com. You have up to $40 to buy a hat from one of those two places. So, enter that. We also are running a survivor pool. Super cool. It starts this week. You pick one game a week. The entry fee is $25. The pool, I believe right now, the winner is gonna take home over $800 and still growing. 20% is going to get donated to the Jason Taylor Foundation, which leads us to the coolest part of the prize, the Jason Taylor graph. The winner gets the cash and the Jason Taylor graph, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's an autographed piece of memorabilia from Jason Taylor himself. So you don't want to miss that. You're running out of time. You have to make your pick by Sunday at 1. So we're going to close registration for that at 11 a.m. on Sunday. If you want info on that, Fin_Addicts on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Get us on Instagram, or just shoot us an email at info@finaddictsnetwork.com. And please, Miami Dolphins, get a win. I don't know if I can do another recap show after a loss, guys. I might have to call in sick. So
I feel you. I'm going to say one more thing. Savak, make sure your phone is fully charged. If everywhere else loses service, we need you to come through, man. We don't want to miss any. No more DVP missed touchdowns. No more.
I will FaceTime. If CB or if NFL Network loses a feed, you better FaceTime me, Savak. You better.
It's on you.
I will
lose my mind.
Backup batteries, whatever you need.
I got you guys. I've got one of those things, the little backup chargers and stuff. I will be there. I will be ready.
All right, and follow us. I forgot. Follow follow this podcast. Follow our friends, Perfectville podcast, and also Dudley Do Wrong. We're all part of the Fin Addicts Network. Dudley's only on YouTube. Everybody else is a podcast and on YouTube. Follow us all. We're all awesome. Maybe Savak will tell you where to get one of these amazing headbands if you follow us. But definitely check it out. And as always, guys, fins up.